Hello and welcome to another episode of What the Fuck? Moments in Manga and Anime. After Darkish? I don't know, it's another 17 plus. Let's call all the monster forkers out of the shadows and stay up after curfew with the first 3 volumes of The Great Snake's Bride. I usually make only one video a month now, so, it's gotta be goofy if I'm showing up this soon. But anyway, mind the TWs, and if this is not your flavor of spice, please scroll away. Okay, so we have 18-year-old Mio, who has been shunned from her village, and is sent to be the bride of the mountain god Daija, who is, you guessed it, a giant snake. He can talk, he lives in a house, but he still does snake things, so he's kind of triggering Mio's fight or flight, as Daija is giving her the rundown of her duties, which is taking care of him and the house. She's just kind of silently screaming and plotting her escape, because almost immediately Big D starts hinting that the duties do not end at daytime. And while he's not rushing her into anything, she's kind of thinking, hell no. So the two of them just start talking, getting to know each other. Mio also makes friends with a little smart-ass talking tanuki that helps her kind of come to terms with her situation. So when Daija is ready to go off for his hibernation during their first winter together, she's starting to get used to him. Or maybe it's just that Stockholm Syndrome seeping in. And it turns out the only thing scarier about living with a giant snake is trying to survive on the mountain in the winter alone. She's found out that living here with the snake has kind of been comforting to her. She even gives him a little smoochy smooch to say goodbye. And oh, this girl, bless her. She is so clueless and innocent that she mistakes her severe malnutrition as being with child. Never kissed a giant snake before. You never know. By now, we're into volume 2. But Daija comes back and he's like, yeah, that's not how that works. But, little wife, if you were interested, we figured out. So about now, you're probably wondering, does this giant snake have some kind of transformation power? Is he able to turn into a hot guy? Oh, well, I'm so glad you asked, because you see, Daija the giant snake is always a giant snake. He is never not a giant snake. And given the rating, things don't get as wild as they could have, but I'm still kind of stressed. I can't go back to the person I was before both my eyeballs saw these two tangled together. So yeah, things are going great. Things are going splendid. The two of them could easily live out their happy little lives together, except, even on this secluded mountain. People still come and interrupt them, like this really shifty monk that's just kind of been popping in and out through the whole series. And he's obviously bad news. Mio finds him injured and patches him up and gets him all nursed back to health, and then he immediately wants to throw hands with Daija. He's got a lot of trauma rage boiling over, and it kind of kindles Daija's trauma from his previous incarnation as a different giant snake. A previous snake versus a previous monk, and now the timelines are crossing again. And yeah, I'm not going to go much into that because that's where most of our trigger warnings are. You see, this previous snake that is now Daija, he was in love with a different young lady. And a lot of shit hit the fan. But now here in the present, this monk is trying to make Mio turn against her husband for crimes he committed in a previous life. But our girl Mio has Daija's back. Snakes do snake stuff sometimes, and it happens. Anyway, by now we're skipping ahead to the middle of volume 3. Mio's little brother Wataru has braved the mountain all on his own to beg Daija to release his sister. And Big D's just like, you know what? She's not a prisoner. If she wants to visit her family, that's totally fine. In fact, let's all go. So they do. They all go to the village where Mio was cast out. And right away, these people are suspicious. Because they're a little bit too nice. They're like, oh, hey, Mio, yeah, look at you with your giant husband that didn't eat you. Isn't that great? Yeah. But yeah, there's some bad history between Mio and this village. Because 10 years ago, her father was convicted of a crime. And soon after, he ended up deleting himself. But this village just kind of held the whole family responsible for what happened. Mio spent her childhood being ruthlessly bullied, and the only person who ever stood up for her was her grandfather, who didn't make it long. So naturally, when Mio turned 18, they figured this was the perfect time to get rid of her by the mountain god, forcing her to leave her little brother and their catatonic mother. But Daija is sitting there with his amazing sense of smell, smelling some bullshit in this village. Didn't think that they would have to solve a mystery today, but that's what happens. But yeah, I'll just leave it there. I don't know. The whole snake ex-human thing, that's really fucking cringy and weird. And yet somehow, the rest of the story is actually pretty good. A lot of care was put into these characters to make them likable, and, you know, there's lots of other stuff that they do that's not weird. You would figure this would be the one time that the guy behind the counter looking at my manga stack is like, So, how fast do you go through these manga? Oh, sir. Entirely too fast, apparently. I read all 3 of these in one sitting. Who wrote this? Seriously, I would love to know the thought process. Like, I'm not even joking. Anyway, I'm gonna go now.